everyone to Expressive Arts with Akshata, episode number 11. Today we have a very special guest with us, and she is someone I have known for I don't know how long. I have worked with her, I've studied with her. She's a sweetheart, and it's lovely to have her here today. Her name is Raksha Agrawal, and we all welcome her today on this show to tell us more about Expressive Arts and her journey with Expressive Arts. Hi Raksha.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm good and thank you for having me here.
Of course, it is lovely to have you here. And can you tell our audience something about yourself?
So, I'm a psychologist. I've done my master's in clinical psychology. I've also trained as a counselor, but interestingly, I use arts in my counseling sessions. I'm not really a dancer, but I move a lot.
Okay.
I also do martial arts, and recently I've been exploring visual art.
Wow, that's great. Lovely to have you here, Raksha. So my first question to you goes, what has been your journey with Expressive Arts?
It's quite long. It actually goes back in childhood because like any other child, there's a bunch of issues that's going on. There are different settings that you are in with your family, in school. So I think I was quite like a socially called bright kid, but I still thought that there were some things that bother, and there was no space that was safe to express this. So it was almost like, yes, I can cope, but I need support. So that was sort of lacking. But then there were dance classes. So that was my resort, my safe space where I could actually go in a dance class, dance, and feel fine. So, and that was one time when I really felt in touch with myself, which otherwise wasn't the case. And it really let me express myself, and I was like, yeah, this works. This is something that really resonates with me. So I'm not a trained dancer, but there was something about movement that really resonated with how I felt while I was dancing, how I felt when I was moving, or when I was painting for that matter. So I never went for a drawing class or a painting class, but just seeing a paper, crayons, paints, and taking them up and just putting something on paper felt really nice. Felt like a really safe space, which otherwise wasn't there. So at a very young age, I thought art supported me when there were no people around. And then, of course, my journey into psychology and going through personal therapy actually inspired me to take it up, where I was like, oh, this works. There's somebody who listens to me. There's somebody who's holding the space so beautifully for me that I can be myself and then go into the world and be fine. And that inspired me to actually take up counseling as my career. But again, I was like, okay, I sit and talk to somebody, that's fine, I can probably do it. But I actually have a relative who has special needs. And I was like, okay, what are we going to do when somebody who cannot be expressing so much through talking is going to come to me? Will I be able to facilitate something there? And that's when art came in. I actually went to Arts Fair to observe a couple of sessions and with special needs kids, and I was like, this is actually working beautifully for them. There's things that's happening for them, and I see the process happening, and that's something that inspired me to take up expressive arts and see how it works with different populations. Because if I'm saying that I'm sad, it's still, oh yeah, I'm sad, but when I'm expressing it, I can actually experience it in different intensities, and that I think cannot come out through words. And exactly why expressive arts is something I keep doing for myself. When I move, when I paint, that's something I experience, and that I think if I could help somebody experience the same for their own development, nothing like it. And I'm still not there, but I'm just working on using it in a better way in my sessions now.
Wow, that's beautiful, right? From your personal journey to like observing people around you in your house, and then, like really working and moving ahead. Wow, that's beautiful. So in all of this, can you share one success story with us?
I think success story would be, I'd like to take one of my sessions up. So I was working with one client for a really long time, and I was really doubting myself because it was in the initial phase when I just started facilitating, and I was like, oh, am I there? Am I doing anything at all? And but I was like, let's do it, because even if I'm not if I think I'm not doing something really good, I was sure I'm not doing something that's not helping the client out. So at the end of the session, when our sessions were to stop, I remember this client giving me a bookmark, and that was she had made it by herself. And I think more than the product, just the process of she making something so thoughtfully for me, and just giving it, saying that what you've done is something that I probably will never experience again. That I thought was the success moment of success for me, because I could really see all of her emotions coming up just by that one bookmark and what she had made for me. So I take that as the moment of success.
Yeah. Congratulations for that
Thank
one.
you.
That is success, truly.
Yeah.
And if I ask you, with so much experience that you've been speaking about, why do you vouch expressive arts? What are the reasons for you to use expressive arts?
Yeah, so the first one would definitely be that it works with a wide range of populations, because if I had to sit and talk, I'm not sure how many people would be comfortable. Secondly, arts helps us get an insight. So there's an insight that can be taken further ahead. So that definitely works with expressive arts. And the third one would be that it's not very directive. So there's always scope for what do you feel about this, rather than, oh, you said you were sad, but there's something else that has probably come up, and that works. So I think that's why I would suggest expressive arts.
Yeah. And you know what? I've lately been observing your writing, because you write and I've been reading, and you express beautifully through writing. So has that been another medium for you to use writing as a way of expression?
And to be very frank, I never thought I could write. But it actually came with the intention of spreading awareness about expressive arts and counseling, because I was seeing that there are people who know that they need to go for it, but they're not taking that one step forward, because they're probably like, oh, I don't know if I should be doing this. And there are things happening, but I'm not sure what that is. So it actually came from that intention. And it started wherein I was like, I don't want to make it very professional, because if I start writing and start writing about counseling and its technicalities, it probably won't reach my audience so much. So I start giving it a personal touch. So there are things that I feel on daily basis, so I'm going to write about that, but keeping it very neutral, very biased, not very biased, and just giving different perspective through the same. And the entire idea was never to get them to counseling or to market counseling, but just for them to be aware that there's something. If you're feeling it, it's fine, and if there's a need, you can always seek help, and it's not wrong. And if you actually go through my writings, it's not always about counseling or therapy. It's also about validating certain things for my audience, and the responses that I get for my writings are incredible. I mean, just a basic thing like self-love, and people have not been in touch with it, but when I write 5 lines about it, it resonates with people, and they're responding to it. And that's when I was like, oh, I think it's not about writing in a very fancy way, but just giving it a personal touch changed everything.
Yeah, because I have been a big fan of your writing, and I started following you very recently, and I just couldn't stop like reading your reading different pieces, and also like I wait for your writing. So it's been quite inspirational. So thank you so
Thank you.
much for that. The other thing that I would really like to ask you, and I would like you to give a little more information about is, I also see you using capoeira as a way of expression.
Yeah.
So if you can tell our audience a little bit about the martial art form and about your experience with capoeira, that would be really nice.
So, like I said, I've never identified myself as a dancer, but very early as a kid, I used to do karate, and my mother's like, "You're not doing that. You're a girl. You cannot be breaking tiles, and you cannot be doing this." That's when I think I went to dance. But I bumped into capoeira like 3 years back. I was like, I think this is something wherein I can dance as well as there's a touch of martial arts to it. But I was still not sure if I could be doing it, because there's handstands and cartwheels and whatnot. It looked crazy. So I was like, no, I don't think I should do this. But I went for one of the events of capoeira Pune, and I just heard the master sing. And I was like, this is it. Because there's music. I have to learn to play instruments, I have to dance, I have to kick, I have to do everything that I really want to do. So it was just like a package that I got.
Right.
And it's a Brazilian martial art. And the slaves back then, they've actually started this in the prisons.
Wow.
So for me, right now it's become passion. Because there's sense of liberation when I move. There's expression, and there's no routine, there's no choreography. So when you're inside, you're actually expressing yourself, but with a person. So that makes it a little different for me, because moving by myself and expressing, yes, I really want to do that, but when I can have a conversation with another person just through movement is something that I was really awestruck by. So I was like, I'm going to take this up. And now, I don't think there's any day I don't do capoeira. It's really, really near to my heart now.
Yeah, wow. I remember, I think 3 or 4 years back, I attended one class and I did all these fancy things, and I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then I just like stuck to that one class and I never went back. Maybe I should come for one of your classes.
You have to, yeah.
To see how it is like, because I was like, that time I was doing my dance movement therapy, so I was like, after that I can go for this one class and did some cool stuff. Yes, I do agree, it's quite cool.
It's very difficult. You just have to be patient for the first couple of months. Then you're fine.
Wow, yeah. But I'm going to definitely give it another try. And moving on to my next question, because, we're talking about expression and counseling and therapy, and all this is moving towards something bigger. It's a relatively new field in the country. We're spreading awareness. People don't know much about this. But if you foresee, where would you see expressive arts in the next 5 years?
So, I'm actually a little inclined also towards policies and how policies in the country actually make a difference in what's happening in the country. So having a personal therapist in some other country would be a very normal thing, which is not the case in India right now. So I'd really love to see some policy making happening by the government, so that there's at least a how do I say it, like a wave of, oh yes, it's fine to go to a personal therapist. It's a very common thing. And expressive arts then could definitely come as a part of it. But more than expressive arts, I just right now I just want people to go for a basic counseling session. And so I see a lot of infrastructure is needed for that, a lot more colleges, because the number of people who need versus the number of counselors that are there, it's quite like there's a huge gap.
Right.
So in 5 years, if that could be done, I think it's going to be amazing.
Great. Yeah, nobody's spoken about policy, so thank you for bringing that point up. That definitely could be the foundation of what we are creating and what this field has for it itself to grow, Awesome. With that, we come to the fun part, which is the rapid fire round.
I'm nervous.
Oh, don't be. It's fine. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be quick. So whatever comes to your mind, just give it out. Okay?
Yeah.
So my first question to you would be, what makes you the facilitator that you are today?
I think the first thing that's going to be that I allow myself to make mistakes. So because I've given that to myself that you're going to make a mistake, so there's scope for learning. So that helps me out. And the second thing is personal therapy. I cannot do without my counselor.
Yeah.
So I think just going to counseling for working on myself makes me the facilitator that I am today.
Wow, beautiful. One go-to art form.
Visual art.
Is
Yeah.
it the new thing?
Not the new thing because I've been doing it since I was a child.
Oh yes, you
Yeah.
mentioned. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
I move a lot, but when I have to really do something that liberates me, it's visual art.
Wow. Okay. Great. If you have to rate yourself, where do you rate yourself? When I ask you this question, how expressive are you?
When I'm talking, maybe 4. But when I'm probably doing some art form, maybe 7, 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
That speaks for itself. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you tell people what you do, what is their first reaction?
Oh, it's actually very funny. Yeah. There are many people who are troubled, okay? So it's good that you're helping them.
Wow, this is a new one.
Yeah.
And what do you say to them?
It's like, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Because there's no point selling what we are doing, or there's no point sitting and explaining something. That's not something I prefer.
Okay. So you would not go to them and tell them, or like tell them about what we are doing.
It'll actually depend on what setting we are in.
Correct. Yeah.
So if it's a setting where I have the opportunity where I could actually have that kind of a conversation, I would. But if it's on a street, if it's in a if it's in a wedding, I'm not going to do that.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Let's move on to visual art, as you said, is something that is your go-to art form right now. So I'm going to give you some crayons,
Yeah.
some pencils, some sketch pens, and a piece of paper. And I invite you to create something on that piece of paper to express what you feel about expressive arts.
Sure. And that expresses how I feel about expressive arts. So this is what I've made. These are certain art forms that I use in my sessions, or generally that I experience. So I think expressive art sort of bridges the gap between all sorts of populations, all kinds of populations, and it brings people together in a very safe way, where there's no judgment, where there's a lot of freedom for expression, and that's what expressive arts is to me.
Thank you, Raksha, for spending so much time with us and telling us about your journey, about what you feel about expressive arts, telling us about policies, telling us about capoeira, about your writing. It has been beautiful to talk to you and get to know more about you. A lot of things that I didn't know about you as well. So it was lovely talking to you, and all the best with all the good work that you're doing. And she wanted to dance. So I'm going to do some dancing with her before we go, and keep on watching our show and wait for the next episode. Raksha, would you like to say something?
Thank you for having me here, and this is a wonderful initiative. I hope you guys watch this and indulge in art.
Great. Thank you so much. Bye everyone.
Bye.